Hello and welcome back to Newsmin. It's the 12th of June 2013, E3 is in full swing, and right now it's time for a quick recap of the Microsoft conference. So Microsoft and their Xbox One, and surprisingly the Xbox 360 as well, were first to go, and I'm going to start off by saying that I think they put on a reasonably good show. Or at least that seemed to be the case up until Sony took the stage, but more on that later. They spoke briefly about the Xbox 360 and showed off a new, slightly sleeker looking version of the old console that's now ready for purchase. Xbox Live Gold subscribers will be getting 2 free old games per month. World of Tanks is coming to the 360 along with Dark Souls 2, which we kind of already knew. And Microsoft points are a thing of the past with local currency replacing them. For the Xbox One, they brought games this time, which was important, and they actually showed them off instead of spending the entirety of their conference talking about TV, movies, and sports. We were told that the Xbox One will be launching in November for $499, 499 euros, and 429 pounds. I don't quite understand the pricing, but hey, there must be a reason for it, and that's for the console, Connect 2, and the controller. Smart Glass and tablet control were both heavily featured throughout the conference, and I'd say not enough focus was put on the cooler goodies like the Xbox One Upload Studio and Twitch TV integration. Little to no mention was made of the always online requirements, used games and sharing limitations, and all the other negative stuff from their reveal. I think the idea was just to keep everyone focused on and talking about the games, which I guess were rather cool. Metal Gear Solid 5 was shown off first, which is not an Xbox One exclusive, and we got to see some pretty great looking open world gameplay.
Let the legend come back to life.
After that, we saw a new IP and Xbox One exclusive called Sunset Overdrive, a super colorful mutant blasting parkour-filled open-world shooter from Insomniac Games. Then another exclusive, Dead Rising 3. Open world, driving, zombie slaying, and seemingly far less color and humor than Dead Rising 1 and 2. Battlefield 4 was given a lot of screen time and it did look incredibly impressive. Sure, it may not be my type of game, but I do appreciate the visual splendor. It also featured a new commander mode that allowed a player with a tablet to join in the multiplayer fun. Yep, tablets again, and Battlefield is definitely not exclusive. CD Projekt Red showed off The Witcher 3, and let me just say it looks ridiculously good. A new and apparently quite capable game engine, fully open world that's around 35 times the size of The Witcher 2, a fresh story to experience, redesigned combat and more. Can't wait. A brand new Halo game from 343 Studios was announced, but no real information was given other than that it's coming in 2014. Remedy's Quantum Break was shown off, and while the cutscene looked kinda cool, it seemed to be just that. A cutscene. A couple of games I personally found slightly less interesting, but you can still read about fully below, were Rise, Son of Rome, which featured far too many QuickTime events, Crimson Dragoon, Forza 5, a semi-free new Killer Instinct game, an unnamed game from Black Tusk Studios that looked really good, but wasn't really a game yet, and finally, a new title that I'd not heard of before that at the least piqued my curiosity, Project Spark. This one's a world-building sandbox game wherein you're given tools to do pretty much anything. You get to create a game within a game and then enjoy it with friends. Sort of like Little Big Planet. A couple of indies are coming to the Xbox One in the form of Minecraft's Xbox One Edition, D4 and below, and then, saving the absolute best for last, Microsoft's finale was the one thing that actually had me glued to my screen. Respawn Entertainment's Titanfall. So good. Titanfall is what they're calling a campaign multiplayer shooter, wherein you play as both elite assault pilots and agile heavy armored titans. The gameplay seemed like tons of fast-paced fun with great looking gunplay, jetpacks, parkour, and more. More in the form of the Titans. All of that, and it's coming to PC as well. Do like. I urge a lot of you to check the gameplay trailers out because they are well worth a watch. Other than that, there were a few sport and music games that I chose to ignore, and I gotta say, while there were some flashes of excitement, the whole thing, up until the very end with Titanfall, was a little underwhelming. There are also a few things up on their website, like the Xbox One disclaimer that they didn't even really mention during the conference itself. Things like a minimum line requirement, Xbox Live only being available in certain countries, and all sorts of other stuff I didn't really like the sound of. Some are even saying it won't be launching in most countries until 2014. We'll have to wait and see about that. Again, the games were cool, don't get me wrong, but most of these won't be ready anytime near launch, which is definitely something worth considering when, you know, buying a new console. The same exact thing could be said about the PS4 and should be taken into account when talking about the PS4, but we'll get to that in the next Newsmin. So that's it. Subscribe if you like the content. Let me know what you thought about the Microsoft conference and the Xbox One in general, now that we know a little bit more and have seen a couple of the games. Check back here soon for recaps of the Sony, Nintendo, EA and Ubisoft conferences. Remember to check the description below for all sorts of links, like the video and all that other good stuff, and most importantly, happy E3 2013. Happy that.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't,
Well,
like it?
if you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device.